Hey everybody, welcome to the show. It is Wrestling Uncensored. I am Dave Simon, and today on the show, Johnny North and I will preview WWE Summerslam. You'll never see it coming. That's the big tagline for the show. We got a lot of big matches to preview. Randy Orton challenging Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. The Fiend challenging Braun Strowman for the Universal Title. Asuka facing Bayley for the Smackdown title and facing Sasha for the Raw Women's title. Seth Rollins going on one-on-one with Dominic Mysterio in his pro wrestling debut in a street fight. Apollo Crews defending the United States Championship against MVP. And Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville in what was supposed to be a hair versus hair match. Now it seems like the stipulation has been changed, which makes me very mad. I don't like when they change a stipulation, especially when it's something that I like. It's now a no disqualification, loser leaves town match. Loser leaves the WWE. We will get to every single match on SummerSlam here on the program, previewing WWE's biggest party of the summer. It's SummerSlam. And Johnny North, I don't know about you, but to me, when SummerSlam comes around, SummerSlam was always the event that I wasn't allowed to watch in the summertime because the day after SummerSlam was the first day of school. SummerSlam to me as a kid growing up always signaled to me the end of summer. I know it's supposed to be the big summer event for WWE, but it does kind of feel like we're wrapping up the summer now that we finally hit SummerSlam weekend. You went to school in the country. I went to school in the city. Was it the same for you? Like, was SummerSlam always the Sunday before the Monday where you went back to school? Because that was always just awful for me. I hated that. I was like, I want to watch SummerSlam. I can't sleep. I don't want to go back to school, you know? Summer is the best when you're a kid and you want it to last forever. And then once, like, it ends, you're like, oh, no, it's over. You got to go back to the school year that feels like it lasts an eternity, you know, a lifetime. You know, remember that? Was it the same for you, Johnny? Did you feel the same way about SummerSlam as a kid?
Well, for the first couple of years, like, pay-per-view wasn't even an option. I couldn't even get pay-per-view. Right. It was more during, like, the teenage years. Like, yeah, I could watch it. But unfortunately, SummerSlam seemed to always be that last week of August or, like, second last week of August, and, like, school would start or whatever. So that was the problem. For now, everyone seems to be lucky. It's, like, mid-August now or even earlier, it seems, SummerSlam. So it seems, you know, kids nowadays that they're able to watch it. It's not so bad. Plus, you don't have to worry about it ending, like, 11 o'clock. It seems like these pay-per-views end, like, 10, 9-ish. Like, that's fantastic, really, if you think about school night. But also, I also think I remember, like, sometimes the school week would start maybe, like, midweek. So sometimes you were lucky. I remember SummerSlam 97, maybe. I may have caught a break on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I remember many times not being able to watch SummerSlam because, you know, I was a kid and my parents wanted me to go to bed. But I do remember being able to watch Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, which were also on Sunday nights. So during the school year, I guess the logic didn't really add up there. I should talk to my parents. I'm just realizing this now.
Well, I guess, again, it depends on your parent. But for me, it depended really on what was kind of the big thing going into that week. Like, if, you know, you had big tests coming up or something, like, it really depended on that. I mean, sometimes you can get away with WrestleMania, I found, here or there, but not usually.
Really, though, I mean, come on. Our parents, given what we do now and where we are now, they should have just said, forget school. You guys watch as much wrestling as you could possibly get in you because clearly that's going to pay off. I mean, I don't remember a lot of things that I learned in school, but, brother, I remember everything that happened in 90s wrestling, so what really matters, John? Pro wrestling is what really matters. Okay, kids? All you kids watching, forget about school. Pro wrestling is what's most important. And I now, as a father, those are the values that I am instilling upon my child. Pro wrestling first. Everything else is secondary.
I find though Raw, it's too late though. Like I don't think
Yeah.
your son should be watching Raw up till like 11 o'clock. That's way too late.
Yeah, and AEW is just like they swear too much. SmackDown is really the show for him. SmackDown is perfect. 8 to 10. Perfect. He likes SmackDown. He watches SmackDown. SmackDown is for the kids. Okay, Johnny North, let's get right into it. Let's get into what's happening in the WWE. Retribution. Should we talk about Retribution? Like, I don't know what's going on with Retribution. They did some things on Raw. They did some things on SmackDown. Not as impactful this week as they were last week. I don't know. Retribution.
Well, Raw, they kind of shook things up right away.
Yeah, they attacked people, but then that was it, right? They didn't do much else. So Raw starts off, Drew McIntyre's in the ring doing a promo. The graphics get all screwy, and then Retribution is shown in the TV truck, like beating people up, and then they fade to black, like, oh, Retribution has taken them off the air. We go to commercial. We come back from commercial, and it's just like Titus O'Neil and a bunch of guys, Riddick Moss and Drew McIntyre, backstage saying, oh, we got to deal with this Retribution. And then Seth Rollins shows up, and he's like, Drew McIntyre, you're not the locker room leader. I am, and Retribution's your fault. And that was it. Like, did Retribution do anything else other than the opening segment on the show?
Not that I remember.
No.
I think maybe the lights may have flickered again or something, but that's probably about it. On Raw, anyways.
That's all they did on Raw. I think they're starting to give up on the idea, or, I don't know, losing faith in it, because it feels like they did that segment on Raw to open up the show. They didn't follow up on it. They were just there so that they could have a Retribution segment on Raw, because at this point they feel like they need one, but
right.
I don't think that there was any reason for that, and the lack of follow-up shows you they have no idea. They have no idea. Like, that's all they did on Raw. On SmackDown, I thought they were going to really get into it. So Vince McMahon opens up the show because we are now in the Thunderdome. If you didn't see SmackDown, you missed the Thunderdome, which looks a little weird and sounds like really annoying. What was with that sound? It's like bees in a tunnel. It's like 1,000 bees. What's going on there? What's with that sound? The buzzing. Did you hear that? Was that just me?
I heard something that it sounded like they were trying to amplify the noise that the people were making, but I don't know if it was working or not. And then it sounded like they put in fake noise.
Yeah.
To me, it just didn't come off right whatsoever. I think they try again. This is a trial and error kind of thing. This is the first time they've tried this kind of thing, so I'm not surprised this didn't work out too well. But unless they fix this audio problem, like I don't think it's that great of an idea. Then
it was super weird. The audio was weird. It was worse than the visual. The visual was okay. Like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, like, great. Seeing a bunch of people just on a webcam sitting there watching the show, like, not really interested, is not a great atmosphere. It doesn't recreate the excitement of a live audience. When you're live, you actually see, Shawn Michaels or whoever's in the ring, right? You're actually going to pop when you see the real Randy Orton in front of you, because it's impressive. First of all, it's impressive to see these guys. Second of all, when you're actually in the same space as these people, I mean, you've all seen a concert or a wrestling show. It's a different experience being there live and actually knowing it's like, hey, that's the real AJ Styles over there. He's wrestling in the same building that I'm sitting in. But when you're watching it on the screen, it's like you're watching it on TV, so you're not going to pop. You're not going to get excited. So you have a bunch of bored-looking fans sitting around the ring. Is that a good look? Like, the fans don't look particularly excited. One guy was asleep. There was one guy on his webcam. Somebody screenshotted it. I saw it on Twitter. The guy was sleeping watching the show. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Nobody looks excited. Nobody looks happy to be there. It's weird. I get the concept. I like the concept, but in practice, it has not come off well. At least not the first night for SmackDown. We'll see what it's like for SummerSlam. I'm going to try to register for SummerSlam. I want to be in the Thunderdome for SummerSlam. We're going to be doing a live watch-along, 7 p.m. Is it too late?
Yeah, it's too late. Already sold out in a sense.
Oh. Well, I don't really care. I mean, I was going to try a bit, but I wasn't going to try that hard. Obviously, I'm not really paying attention to it. But we're going to do the watch-along. If you want to watch us watch SummerSlam, watch the watch-along here on YouTube. 7 p.m. during the whole show. I'll be here. My brother will be here. Johnny will be there. We're going to have a SummerSlam party. And that's really what you want. You don't want just to see these blank faces. It didn't look great, right? To have a bored-looking audience.
Well, it's cool for the individual fans to be like, hey, cool, I'm on TV, I'm on Smackdown kind of thing. I mean, it's great for them. And who knows, like, you talked about that whole, like, seeing it from that, like, seat perspective. If you get that, then maybe it's really actually a fantastic idea. It's just the way I see it, the way as a viewer watching it, it really doesn't add that much. It's just, wow, it's kind of cool to look at, but it doesn't sound any better, in my opinion. And that's the main thing that the fans have to add to it is that atmosphere. And to me, it didn't really add that much of an atmosphere, just a cool little backdrop, and that's it.
I think it sounds worse than it did at the PC, right? Like,
yes.
At least at the PC, you had real people and real cheering. And, when Bayley and Sasha came out at the PC, it sounded like legit heat, It wasn't, but it sounded almost like a real crowd. The Thunderdome does not sound right, and the audio is a big issue. Just the way it sounds, it's too buzzy, it's too tinny, and the fake crowd noise is obviously fake. It's, at least when they pump in some fake crowd noise along with the real crowd noise of real people at the PC, it doesn't come off as badly. But when they do it in a Thunderdome where it's like obviously none of that crowd noise you're pumping in is real, it's just odd. It seems very artificial, right? It doesn't feel like wrestling. It feels like some weird video game.
Well, I'll give them this. I mean, the PC kind of got boring a bit. Like, we went from no fans to these fake fans, fake wrestler fans. So for them to try this, I give them a lot of credit to try to add some interest in the SummerSlam. I want to see what it's like more because of this atmosphere, actually more than most of the matches I'm actually going to watch at SummerSlam. So I appreciate the effort them trying. Mm-hmm. It's just like you said, so far, it hasn't really helped the show. It hasn't really made it more exciting, and they need to work on this.
That's it. Like, when SmackDown started and I saw the Thunderdome, I was like, yeah, here we go. This is cool. And then, like, a minute in, I was like, oh, this is not that cool. It looked cool. The entrance was really cool. Like, when they started it with the lights and everything, I was like, whoa, this is production value. And then when the fans showed up, it was like, oh, this is just weird looking. I don't really like this. So Vince McMahon opens the show, welcomes us on SmackDown to the Thunderdome. Lights go out. I figure Retribution, right? Retribution is this terrorist group, right? This Antifa-style group, whatever you want to call it, that has been attacking the WWE. They are an anti-WWE group. They have spray-painted the WWE logo and done the circle with the line through, right? They are anti-WWE, right? That has been established. The WWE chairman is in the motherfucking ring, and they don't go after him. Because when the lights go out, it is not Retribution, it's the Fiend. Because the Fiend... Why is the Fiend coming out to confront Vince? I mean, John, help me. Because you're always the one to explain the nonsense. You always have a reason. What is the Fiend's problem with Vince McMahon?
Well, to me, it's just the Fiend trying to make some noise. Like, if you want to be a top star in wrestling, you want to have a segment with Vince McMahon, no?
Right.
That's what all the top stars did, right? So...
Good job,
the Fiend,
Johnny.
You're trying to make some noise.
You're the best. You're the best, man. You always make sense out of the nonsense. So the Fiend comes out, faces off with Vince like he's going to beat up Vince. Vince kind of no-sells the Fiend, though, doesn't he? He's, like, not that afraid. Like, Alexa Bliss was... Yeah, Vince is tough. Alexa Bliss was way more afraid. I've seen a lot of people. I've seen Braun Strowman be way more afraid of the Fiend than Vince appeared to be. But Vince is tough. Vince no-sells you. Vince has been in there with Austin. You think the Fiend is scary? So Braun Strowman shows up to, I guess, save Vince. I don't know. And then Retribution does arrive. Finally, Retribution arrives. Wait, no. So Braun Strowman shows up, and he's standing in the ring with the Fiend. Vince has disappeared at this point, right? Like, before Retribution even shows up, Retribution should obviously target Vince. They should kidnap Vince. They should blow Vince up in a limo. They should beat up Vince. I mean, Vince should be the guy that they go after, right? But they don't go after Vince. Because Vince has magical powers, and as soon as Braun Strowman shows up to face off with the Fiend, Vince is out of the ring, gone. We don't see Vince again. And at that point, I'm upset because we got this much Vince, not enough Vince. He's the most interesting guy on the whole show. He leaves, and we're left with the Fiend and Braun Strowman. I was like, more Vince, please. So Fiend and Strowman face off. Retribution then shows up, surrounds the ring. The Fiend waves goodbye. Lights go out. Fiend is gone. Retribution comes out into the ring, starts beating up Braun Strowman. They beat him up. They take him out. And then the Smackdown locker room shows up, and it is everybody. Big E, Gable, Riddle, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, John Morrison, Sheamus, the Heavy Machines. Dana Brooke was like the only woman in a ring full of men, like attacking people at one point. That was awesome. Mandy Rose was there.
Well, there's one woman for Retribution, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Wasn't clear that she was there during the attack. One of the Usos was there all of a sudden. Jey Uso. It's like, where was he? Where's he been? I don't think he's been around since the karaoke contest or whatever that was, right? Didn't he host
Maybe
that?
a battle royal or something, or a lumberjack kind of situation, perhaps. He's just like an extra character.
Yeah, he's just an extra right now. One half of one of the greatest tag teams of all time. He's just kind of an extra every once in a while. That's fine. So they all come out. A bunch of SmackDown people come out, and they take out Retribution. This is the first time that Retribution has been taken out, beat down, and beat up and left outside the ring. Again, though, they had the advantage. They had the opportunity to grab one of them, rip off the mask, and say the line, "Who are you? Who do you work for? What is the meaning of this?" Like, nothing, right? Nobody tries to figure out, like, who is this group? What's the deal? Michael Cole was like, they haven't even sent in their manifesto. I'm sorry. Are we expecting a manifesto from Retribution? Do wrestling factions generally put out manifestos? I don't recall the NWO manifesto. Was it Too Sweet for Life? What was a DX manifesto? Suck it? Manifesto? What the fuck are they talking about? So Retribution gets beat up. Nobody tries to unmask anybody to figure out who they are, which, seems like the logical move, but it's the WWE, the land without logic. And then The Miz shows up. And he kind of joins the SmackDown group. Should we read into that? Like, is The Miz part of Retribution? Because it was odd that all of the SmackDown roster had come out, beat up Retribution, were standing tall in the ring while Retribution was, like, leaving. And then the camera cuts to the entranceway, and it's The Miz running down to the ring, and then, like, saying hi to John Morrison, who's already in the ring, already been there for a while. What was the deal with the late entrance from The Miz? Was that a miscue, or, like, is he involved with Retribution? Johnny?
It could also be just that The Miz is a coward, and he just came in later after everything was good.
He's the only coward on SmackDown. Baron Corbin came out.
Yeah, but it's more in The Miz's character to be like a coward. Like Baron Corbin.
His partner was there though. John Morrison was there. No, I think there's got to be something to this. I think they're putting The Miz with Retribution. Like, why did he come out last? He didn't attack any of the Retribution guys. Maybe because he's with them. That's what I think. You don't think it's anything? You think it's just like, oh, Miz is scared, so that's why he didn't come out? Come on. There's got to be something more.
You could be right. I just don't think The Miz deserves that kind of push. I wouldn't use The Miz like that. Like, just keep him in that tag team. That's it. That's the best use of The Miz, but you have higher hopes for The Miz? Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't have high hopes for The Miz, but I saw him come out by himself after the attack, and I was like, that's weird. But when you think revolutionary group, you don't really think of Miz as their leader, right? He's like one of the most corporate, clean-cut guys the WWE has. You know, if CM Punk was the leader of that group, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. But Miz, the leader of some anti-WWE group, doesn't really make sense. So, I don't know.
But you targeted on something that's kind of really important. They're going to need like a spokesperson, someone who could talk for the group at least. Doesn't need to be the leader, but someone who can do a lot of the talking. Mm-hmm. And Miz could do a lot of that.
Mm-hmm. And they're bringing back Talking Smack, and it was supposed to be Kayla and Xavier Woods hosting, but then on SmackDown they said it's Kayla and The Miz. How did Miz just slide in there?
Very disappointing. Whoa, that's horrible.
Yeah, did you not catch that?
I missed that. I saw the Xavier Woods thing.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, he's been pulled. It's Miz now. As far as I'm pretty sure I heard that on SmackDown. We'll see Talking Smack. I think it's coming out at some point in the morning or whatever, but I don't know. Apparently, Miz is the host and not Xavier Woods, which is disappointing because I like Xavier Woods. I like his work. Miz, not so much. Although he did provide some pretty entertaining moments on the original incarnation of Talking Smack. So Retribution is taken out by SmackDown guys. Is that it? Can we write them off now? Can we give up on Retribution? Can we say that SmackDown stood up for themselves, took out Retribution, and they will never be heard from again? Because at this point, a 4-week program where they appear and then are run off seems like the best way to get out of a bad situation. It seems obvious to everybody who's watching that the WWE does not know who is under any of the masks, what Retribution actually is, and where it's going. So let's just kill it dead now before it gets any worse, takes up any more of our time, and still doesn't have a payoff. I think that the WWE may have decided to pull the plug on Retribution. They may have ended Retribution here on SmackDown. With the SmackDown roster taking them out, I think that may have been it. And I'm hoping it was. Because I don't think the WWE really knows where they're going. They put things out there. They start things without having a finish. They need to stop that. They really need to stop that. When they have an idea, somebody should question that idea. I mean, Vince really should be the guy, but I guess he doesn't care. I don't know. But when you have an idea like, okay, we're going to do this Retribution gimmick, a bunch of hooded guys are going to show up and attack. Somebody has to question that and say, okay, who's in it? How does it pay off? How does it pay off? It's all about the payoff. You're supposed to be building angles to lead to something that will make you money. That's the wrestling business. You build an angle to pay it off. Who's getting paid off? The wrestling business gets paid off. The wrestling company is being paid off with their good work and their good stories and their finely crafted angles that they finish and they get big money on the payoff match. However, they keep doing these storylines with no end in sight. No clear conclusion. Pull the plug. They pulled the plug on the hacker gimmick. It never went anywhere. Pull the plug on this too. I think they may have wrapped it up on SmackDown, Johnny. Did you get that feeling at all? Did you think that they might have been done? I think they're done.
Well, the feeling I got was just finally WWE fought back. but they just fought back, and now Retribution's going to try to do something even more devastating to WWE. And I wouldn't be surprised we see it at SummerSlam.
Where? Tell me where Retribution is showing up. Let's get to SummerSlam. Where is Retribution going to be?
I could see it maybe the U.S. title match.
Between Apollo and MVP. That's where they show up. What
MVP
havoc they will cause.
Well, it's because MVP kind of almost called them out in a sense.
Yeah, he talked about them in a promo on Raw, right?
And he's accused Apollo of being the leader of Retribution.
Right. So?
I could see something go down there.
Okay. It seems like more of a SmackDown thing, though. They've done more damage on SmackDown. It's been more of a SmackDown angle. Like, SmackDown got Retribution, and Raw got Raw Underground.
Yeah, I feel because there's a lot going on Raw. I think that's probably why we didn't see much of Retribution, because it's hard to write everything into Raw when there's just so much going on. With SmackDown, it seems it runs a lot smoother the way they write the show, so it's easier to put Retribution in the show. But yeah, it's a lot more difficult on Raw. Hopefully for the pay-per-view, they've got it figured out as well, because it is only a few hours away.
Yeah, of course, Raw is so busy, John, because we have to watch promos between Angel Garza and Ivar and Demi Barnett, whoever that is, and Angelo Dawkins about Montez Ford being poisoned by Zelina Vega. Like, all of that happened on Raw this week. Miss me with all of that stuff. Skip every single segment that they did with Andrade, Zelina, Angel, Angelo Dawkins, whoever that Demi Barnett, who she's like a bachelor person. She's like backstage and she's a love interest to Ivar, Montez Ford, and Angel Garza. What? That stuff is so bad, man. Ivar and Angel Garza backstage with her, kind of, arguing about who is going to be her boyfriend or whatever. And then they have a match that Angel Garza winds up winning after a distraction from Andrade. And then Angelo Dawkins is on the Tron and he's backstage with her. And then they do a promo making fun of Angel Garza. And then Angelo's like, I've got a video clip of you, Angel Garza. And it's like, what? And Samoa Joe knows about the video too, and Zelina's acting like she's in the video too, and Angel Garza's like, what video, And it, like, they made it seem like it was a sex tape between Angel Garza and Zelina Vega, did they not? And then when we come back from commercial, it's like not that at all. But didn't they try to lead you to believe that it was something salacious, right?
Scandalous of some sort of variety, yes.
Right. It was stupid. So Angelo Dawkins then backstage with her. We come back from commercial. He's with Demi, whatever her name is, and Angel Garza. And then Zelina Vega and Andrade are there, and they're very concerned about what's on the video. Like, Angel Garza was so concerned about what's on the video, he runs backstage to see Angelo Dawkins. Zelina and Andrade, they just kind of saunter in, but Zelina is the one on the video. It has nothing to do with Angel Garza. I don't understand why Angel Garza was so concerned about the stupid video when he wasn't even on the video and Zelina is the one on the video. Maybe there's some other videos circulating that Angel Garza doesn't want you to see, but, I guess we'll never see those.
Maybe it's for the best.
So the video shows Zelina Vega poisoning Montez Ford's drink. Montez had a match with, I think, Angel a few weeks ago, and he was acting funny, and he got poisoned, obviously. And it was Zelina that poisoned him, even though she was denying it the whole time. And Dawkins is really mad, and Montez Ford shows up, and they attack. And then, I think there was more, right? Wasn't there more between those guys?
Well, then they had a match.
They had a match.
It was a lot. And, well, to me,
Montez
it just didn't make
beat
any
Andrade,
sense.
right? Montez beat Andrade.
Right.
That was actually the main event, John. That was the last match on the show. Montez beating Andrade with a roll-up after Bianca Belair hit a body slam on Zelina Vega to cause the distraction. Most finishes, too, in the WWE this week, distraction finishes. I don't know if anyone won clean. Pretty much everyone won with a distraction finish or a knee brace. Jeff Hardy, by the way, new Intercontinental Champion. We'll get to that in a bit. But, like, how much of Raw was dedicated to the Street Profits and Andrade and Angel Garza and Poisoning and Zelina Vega and the Viking Raiders and what's her name? Demi, whatever her name. Like, why is she there? Why is she on TV at all? She's been on TV. Like, I thought it was one time. She was on 3 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, a little celebrity appearance, a little cameo from, maybe there's an audience for this. I've never heard of her. But she's, like, still on the show? Why? Whose girlfriend is she? One of the writers or something? Like, what's going on?
Well, it's just her agent obviously got in touch with the people who run WWE and put it together. They love doing this whole celebrity stuff. I mean, to have guests on Raw, it's a big deal for them. So they've always, remember the guest hosting? That was a huge thing for Raw for many years.
Okay, but when they had guest hosts, they had people you've heard of, right? At least it was like, the Bob Barker, the Muppets, whatever they did, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, they had people that you'd heard of. You didn't have, like, Demi something from The Bachelor season whatever. Like, what? I know people watch The Bachelor, but, like, come on. Is there a lot of crossover between wrestling fans and The Bachelor? I don't think The Bachelor fans are going to tune into Raw to see, like, a minute of Demi What's-Her-Face from their favorite show either. This is not working. It's not a good move. And she's on TV, like, way more than she should be. Way more. All of that stuff was bad. All of that stuff was really bad. And, like, now they're going to have another match on the pay-per-view, right? Tag team match for the Raw Tag Team titles. Andrade and Garza taking on Street Profits. That's the match I care about the least. It's got to be pre-show, right? That is. Like, who cares? I care so little about all four of those guys. They have given us no reason. Do you really give a shit that Montez Ford was poisoned by Zelina Vega? Like, who cares? It wasn't real. It's fucking stupid.
Well, the main problem I had with it was that, okay, he got poisoned and he's come back from it, but then they get the revenge on Raw.
Right.
So it's like you took away all the heat for the pay-per-view match now, which I believe it's because I think Andrade and Garza are going to win. Mm-hmm. So then they gave the Street Profits something on Raw because they got the wins on Raw. So, but I just thought it was kind of ridiculous how Montez is supposed to be selling, which is, I think, a word that doesn't exist anymore in WWE, as we saw on Raw. But he's supposed to be selling, being poisoned, and yet can do all his moves, does everything, does all his flips, no problem whatsoever. Like, if he just no-sold the poison. So, what was the whole point of that whole angle?
He's recovered from the poison.
So that poison was pretty much useless then. Like,
well, it worked.
It served no purpose.
It worked like 2 weeks ago. It took him out for a couple weeks, but now he's back and he's 100%. And he's ready to defend the Raw Tag Team titles against Garza and Andrade. And if Garza and Andrade win, who do they wrestle? The Viking Raiders? Like, the Raw Tag Team division is tiny. Like, there's nobody there. It's the Viking Raiders, the Street Profits, and Andrade and Angel Garza. Is there another tag team on Raw?
Well, you can find a bunch of other tag teams when you think about it. I mean, Cedric Alexander, Ricochet. They'll definitely get a match against them for sure. Okay. You could just throw a team like, Kevin Owens and like Aleister Black together.
It's
just stuff like that.
Not a team.
Yeah,
where have they been, by the way?
Whatever. Well, they're just the extras on Raw as well, unfortunately.
Got some pretty talented extras, Good for WWE to have guys like Kevin Owens and Aleister Black that they can just sit around in catering and not use. That's how deep their bench is. Jeez.
Well, you talk about pre-show. I think Kevin's going to be on the pre-show again.
Is he even going to be on the pre-show? Like, what's he going to do?
Well, last minute he did Buddy Murphy, right? So I have no idea who he'd wrestle this time. I mean, who is there left on Raw to wrestle?
Buddy Murphy?
Pretty much.
I don't think he's going to wrestle. I don't think he's going to be on the show at all. I think that you're right, though. Andrade and Angel Garza are going to be the new Raw Tag Team Champions, but I really don't care. How about a match I care about?
SummerSlam?
Yeah.
SummerSlam? You have a match you care about in SummerSlam? Wow.
WWE title match is interesting. Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton. There's something on the line and something that could move here. You know, there could be some movement. I'm not convinced that Randy isn't walking away with the title. Shawn Michaels cuts an in-ring promo on Raw this week. HB Shizzle says Ric Flair paved the way for everybody, but Randy doesn't have the same appreciation for Flair that he does. Shawn says that Randy, at SummerSlam, he's going to see it coming when Drew McIntyre gets him. And then Randy shows up, hits the RKO on Shawn Michaels, and a punt kick real quick, too. He didn't, waste time doing the punt kick. I don't know if you noticed, but usually he kind of, builds up to it. He went RKO, punt kick. I wonder if Shawn told him to do that. Because, he doesn't do that to anybody else. He does RKO, and then he waits for a while, and then he kicks you in the head. Maybe he did it fast because he wanted to do a quick attack on Shawn, but did he need the punt kick? Anyways, Drew McIntyre showed up real quick, chased off Randy. Drew was tending to Shawn. Randy tried to attack Drew, but Drew saw it coming, tossed him around the ring. Randy was down for a bit. Drew went back in the ring to see Shawn, and then Randy hit Drew with the RKO. So Randy did stand tall at the end of the show, which leads you to believe that maybe Drew will retain. You know, Randy looked good on Raw. Will Drew look good at SummerSlam? I don't know about this one. What I do know is Shawn Michaels should probably shave his head again because the current haircut is not good. You see Shawn without his hat on? He's got that comb over thing going, you know? I mean, he's definitely bald up top here, but he's got the little strands going and the side hair. Side hair is no good. Shawn, for a while, he was bald, stone cold bald. I thought that was a better look than what he had going on Raw. It made him look very like a 55-year-old accountant or something. You know, he didn't look like Shawn Michaels. He just looked like an old man. It was weird. I didn't like it. I didn't like seeing Shawn like that. I remember Shawn with the beautiful mullet and the chest hair and jacked and 1992, you know? That's the Shawn Michaels I want to remember. This version of Shawn Michaels, getting beat up by Randy Orton, okay, but just the hair, man. The hair was weird. Find a way to keep a hat glued to his head or something. I don't know. I'm sorry, Shawn Michaels, but you look fucking weird.
Well, he looked weird, but he's still invincible in a sense because most people get knocked out and stretchered out when they take the punt kick. Yet
that's true.
Shawn is practically back up on his feet moments right afterwards. So still Superman Shawn.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, eh? Shawn did not sell that death like pretty much everybody else that ever takes the punt kick. Everybody that takes a punt kick is unconscious, dead, has to be stretchered out basically. Here's retired old Shawn Michaels with a shitty haircut, and he takes an RKO and a punt kick in rapid succession, and by the end of the segment, he's back on his feet. Old Shawn Michaels, man. He still got it, except you saw him wrestle, and he clearly does not still got it, which is sad. Don't wrestle again, Shawn Michaels. That shit was sad.
He's promising either Sweet Chin Music or a Claymore, right, for Randy. So it seems like he's gonna be involved in this match, possibly.
HB Shizzle's getting involved, brother. That's crazy. How is that gonna work? Is he gonna be there? It's not a no DQ, right?
No, but it is for the WWE title, right? And it's a big pay-per-view kind of match. Usually sometimes you'll just slide in the whole fact that it's an ODQ kind of thing, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going with Randy. New WWE champion. Although, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I feel like Drew could definitely retain here. But it's SummerSlam. They've got a new set. They've got a new arena. It's the Thunderdome. It's time to renew. It's time to refresh. It's time to change directions. It's Randy time. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I want Randy to be the champion.
Well, I obviously agree with you. I think Randy Orton should always be WWE champion.
Well, not always.
And I also feel that he could easily just lose it right back to Drew McIntyre very quickly, because that usually happens a lot in WWE. No one usually has long title reigns. And I feel like Drew's had a decent reign. WrestleMania to SummerSlam, that's pretty decent.
I think no matter what happens, they do rematch. Might even be next week at Payback. Don't forget, Payback is next Sunday. They're doing another pay-per-view 7 days from SummerSlam, which is odd. Not something they generally do.
Well, it's because of the lack of Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, so I guess they had to make up and give us more pay-per-views, of course.
They could always give us less. I don't think we'd complain about that. We get plenty of WWE. So, do you think Randy wins, though? Are you predicting it? Like, you feel it's going to happen? I'm on the fence.
I feel like it should happen. I'm not 100% sure it's going to happen, but I feel like it should happen, so I'll lean more towards that. Because right now I'm 50-50 on this, but I think Randy should win. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses a rematch very quickly, maybe even at Payback, but I feel Randy should win this match.
I like this feud when it was about Randy and Drew. Now it's about Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels, you know? I feel like they lost faith in the program, and they had to add Shawn and Rick to kind of spice it up and make you care a little bit more, but I feel like I care less now. Like, I don't really understand why Drew McIntyre cares so much about Ric Flair or Shawn Michaels. Those guys have way more of an attachment to Randy Orton. Randy's attacking them. I get that Drew is a babyface and he doesn't like to see Randy being a jerk, but it doesn't really do much. It doesn't make a ton of sense. That promo that Drew cut a few weeks ago on Randy, where, you know, Randy was just always a bad guy and never really a leader, and he was always chosen, and Randy should have been fired several times, but never was, but Drew was, and he had to claw his way back. Randy was given all the opportunities, like all that stuff that Drew said, and then the things that Randy was saying back, like, look, I'm always going to be more valuable to the WWE than you or anybody else because I'm Randy. That stuff was really good and really believable. That story worked for me. They didn't really expand on that. They turned it into, well, Randy Orton is a legend killer, and he beats up Ric Flair, and he beats up Shawn Michaels. And Drew McIntyre is just the babyface here to help those guys, which is not as good. They changed the story mid-build, and I'm not really sure why. It seems like they lost faith in the Drew-Randy story, and they decided, you know, well, if we bring Shawn and Rick in there, that's going to get the people talking. That'll move the needle, right? It's like, in case of emergency, break glass and call Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels.
Well, and to be honest, I thought the Ric Flair thing was the best thing they've done so far in this feud. If anything, I think they peaked with that. They should have ended with that, because that, to me, was more interesting for the pay-per-view. The Shawn thing, I could really care less about.
Yeah, but you don't like Shawn. You're biased. You hate Shawn Michaels, so that's something else.
Guy can't sell, so of course
Guy can't sell. He can sell, brother. He just chooses not to because he's Shawn Michaels and he has to remain strong because his ego is so big and out of control. Still, I mean, you could tell on SmackDown or Raw. I was like, oh yeah, Shawn is not selling like he should because Shawn still thinks he's HBK. I mean, he did his pose when he came into the ring, right? Come on. Jeez, Shawn Michaels. You know, Ric Flair, Randy did an interview, and he said that Ric Flair wasn't supposed to talk when he did that big, long promo on Raw. Flair wasn't even supposed to say...
He did.
Yeah, it was a great promo. I'm glad he did. It was one of the best things that we've seen on Raw in months. But apparently he wasn't even supposed to get the microphone.
Oh, that would have been dreadful, actually. The segment wouldn't have been nearly as good. Not even close.
That's what Randy was saying. He was saying the Flair wasn't supposed to get the mic, but he just kind of went off script. Anyways, I think Randy should be the next WWE champion. I think Retribution should beat up Randy after he does it. I think that would make sense. Randy's like a marquee guy in WWE. They should attack him. MVP and Apollo Crews, it's a match I really don't care about. That whole thing, too, it's like it's another story on Raw that's been going for so long, MVP trying to get Apollo Crews to join his group. Apollo Crews doesn't want to. Apollo Crews had coronavirus. He couldn't defend the U.S. title. MVP decided he was the United States champion. Apollo Crews comes back, beats MVP, is still the United States champion. But for some reason, we have to have another match between Apollo Crews and MVP, this time with Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin banned from ringside because they're MVP's buddies there. I don't really see MVP winning, especially if he doesn't have his crew there. So why? Unless, this is the Retribution match where everybody just gets beat up.
Well, I felt the big match was going to be eventually Apollo versus Bobby Lashley, right? Because that's the main guy in the Hurt Business. But for whatever reason, they're pushing MVP, which is good because I find MVP is fantastic on the mic. I mean, he's really driving this whole storyline, driving all the characters involved. So it's great that he's getting the spotlight. I just feel like I'm not really that interested in the match because we've seen this actually a bunch of times now already. And it just seems to be the same thing over and over again. So I'm not excited for this at all. I see Apollo winning.
That's it. It's the same thing over and over again, and we kind of expect Apollo to win. So it's just not that captivating. And I agree. I think MVP is a really talented guy. He's a really good talker. But if they don't give him much to work with, I'm honestly, the bright part about all of this is that Shelton Benjamin is getting, solid TV time. He's a guy that's been in the wrestling business forever. He's been very, very good his entire career. And he was one of those guys lost in the shuffle. He was in the WWE, but you barely saw him. And now he's regularly on TV looking like a badass and being presented in a badass way with Bobby and MVP, three guys that have legit fighting skills and are being presented as such, which I like. I like the presentation of those three guys. It's an accurate depiction of who they are for real, and I really appreciate that. Shelton Benjamin is one of the toughest, most physically gifted guys that the WWE has. As far as legit amateur wrestlers, Shelton Benjamin is as legit as they come, and he was underused, so I'm glad that he's getting a shine here. That's really what I'm happy about, is that, Bobby was getting TV time. MVP, it's yeah, cool, he's got a job. It's nice for him. But Shelton was lost, and now he's, been brought up. And I've always been a Shelton fan. The gold standard.
I agree with you. Fantastic athlete. The only thing I would change in this whole group setup is that MVP is the only one doing the talking. I understand he's the best one doing the talking, but maybe just share it around a little bit. Just let's get more of a personality from the other guys, because the other guys don't have any personality whatsoever. I mean, great wrestlers, but let's hear from them at least a little bit.
John, have you been watching the careers of Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin?
I find they have moments sometimes.
It's not
Bobby,
they're...
especially when he was in Impact, he was very good. You admitted that many times.
Yeah, it was a different gimmick, though. And he was the world champion. He had a lot to brag about. He had a lot to say in Impact. It was a really good presentation of Bobby Lashley, but they're not going to present him like that in WWE. And just give Bobby Lashley or Shelton Benjamin a microphone. It's not particularly good. They're not great promo guys. Great look, great wrestling ability, real badasses, but as far as promo and the character, come on. Let's be real. It's not like they're new, and it's well, give these guys a chance. It's why doesn't Tucker get to talk in Heavy Machinery? We haven't really heard him talk ever, but okay, we've seen Shelton in several different gimmicks where they try to get him to talk, and it never works. Do you remember Mama Benjamin? Come on, man. They had an actress to be his mother / manager. That's how badly they tried to get Shelton over and didn't believe in his talking, right? Mama Benjamin.
I get that, but you can give him at least a line or two, something to at least build up something of a character, because just the fact that they're just tough guys, they could be so much more, and I find they're kind of wasting it.
All right. Well, you should not be wasting any more money on inferior products for your
WWE?
balls. Okay, John?
Oh, okay.
You're wearing the shirt. You know what's up. Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code ringside20, and get a superior product, the best product out there for all of your male grooming needs. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0. It's now available in Canada. It is the top razor out there. You want to shave yourself? You want to stay cool? You want to stay clean? Manscaped.com. They've got ball deodorant. They got everything. And if you use the promo code ringside20, you get 20% off your order plus free shipping. Go to manscaped.com. Use that promo code ringside20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. Help out the Ringside Report Network and help out yourself. Your balls will thank you. And that is the Manscaped promise. All right? Tremendous company, tremendous product, great sponsor of the Ringside Report Network. Go sign up with Manscaped. Go hook yourself up with some great Manscaped products. Manscaped.com, promo code ringside20 for 20% off plus free shipping. Like, that's a great deal. It's for you. It's for the Ringside Report Network. It's manscaped.com. Johnny North, back to SummerSlam. SummerSlam, Dominic Mysterio taking on Seth Rollins. This will be a street fight. Seth will have Murphy in his corner. Dominic will have his daddy, Rey Mysterio. I saw a picture of Walter this week. You know, Walter?
It's his birthday, no? The other day?
He looks like Dominic Mysterio a bit, too.
Maybe in like 30 years.
No, he looks like Dominic Mysterio. I'm telling you. Like, he does.
Well, Dominic can shoot the look and hopefully be as good.
Whoa. Sorry, John, I lost you there. Whoa. Sorry, John, I lost you. I showed a picture of Walter. What are you saying about Dominic?
That's okay. Like, Dominic can only hope to look like him and be as good of a wrestler as him.
Yeah. Let me just show you a picture, okay? Hold on. Look. There's Walter, right? You see Walter. Okay? Now give me Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio! Look, they look similar. Like, they don't not look alike. It's just because I saw a picture of Walter this week lifting weights. And it was like lifting heavy weights. And you know, when you're scrolling on Twitter, you see things quickly. And I was like, was that Dominic lifting all that weight? And I was like, oh, no, it's just Walter. They just have a similar, I don't know, build, I guess.
Well, I guess a bit in the face. That's really it. I mean, I wouldn't say the body structure whatsoever. That's for sure.
No, you know, if Dominic put on a little bit more size. So Dominic's gonna wrestle Seth. It's gonna be a street fight. A lot of weapons. Ray's gonna be there, so Ray is gonna be holding Dominic's hand throughout this whole match. I think Dominic is actually gonna beat Seth. I think this is going to be a lot of, you know, Buddy Murphy and Seth and Ray and Dominic and kendo sticks and all sorts of stuff going on. Ray and Dominic showed up on Raw this week and they attacked Seth Rollins. That was a super disrespectful moment of Raw when Natty and Mickie James, two of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time, they're having a match. And Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy just show up and start interrogating Samoa Joe, asking him how he knows that Rey Mysterio will be there to confront him later tonight. Right? Seth is like, how do you know that Rey Mysterio's here, Samoa Joe? Joe's like on commentary. The match is going on between Natty and Mickie James. Mickie James gets pushed off the top rope and loses by countout, but you don't see any of it because we're just watching Seth Rollins interrogate Samoa Joe at commentary. That was pretty damn disrespectful. I felt very badly for Mickie James and for Natty. It's a disrespect. And, like, Mickey's been gone for a long time. She comes back. It's her first match. She's wrestling Natty. They're both going into the Hall of Fame. And we're watching Seth Rollins in a suit yell at Samoa Joe, also in a suit. That was bad. That was just bad. Not cool.
I didn't like it, but I felt like that was done intentionally, though, because I feel like this is building up to an angle where Mickey's not getting respect. It could lead to her maybe turning heel, actually maybe even siding with Natty, being like, they're not getting respect, they got to take respect kind of thing. I could see something like that go down.
Maybe they could team up, be an evil tag team. Pretty Mean Sisters. Wait, that's already been done. Okay. Elsewhere in the women's division, are we done with Seth and Dominic? Like, whatever. The match is going to happen. Dominic shouldn't be at SummerSlam, but he is. It's a storyline. I think the big question is, does Dominic ever have another match in WWE after this?
Well, I think for sure that's going to happen. I mean, they'll make a big deal out of him just wrestling on Raw or SmackDown. Because, like, let's face it, they're building Dominic bigger than most of the stars they have weekly on Raw and SmackDown. So,
right,
it'd be a shame if they don't actually use him because they're actually making something out of him. And it's also very interesting that SummerSlam 2002, I believe, was when Rey Mysterio made his WWE debut. So 18 years later, to see this happen for Dominic, it's kind of a big deal.
So after he has this match with Seth, he's just going to be another wrestler on the roster, feuding with other guys and just having matches? He's just going to be another member of the roster? Is he really on the roster?
Well, he's a signed superstar. Is he going to be on the roster? Who knows? They haven't said what show he's going to be on. I think he's just going to be like a special attraction kind of wrestler. I think that's the best use of him right now. Because is he completely trained yet to be a wrestler? I mean, this isn't going to be much of a wrestling match. This is just going to be, a bunch of salad dressing mixed in with, weapons and maybe a couple moves here and there. That's all it's going to be. It's not going to be your traditional wrestling match because they're pushing this that if it was traditional wrestling, Seth Rollins would destroy him, right? So it's going to take a while for Dominic.
You called him an attraction.
Yeah, 100%.
Undertaker's an attraction. Andre the Giant is an attraction. Brock Lesnar is an attraction. Those guys, attraction acts in wrestling, are the guys that don't show up all the time, but when they do show up, you're buying a ticket just to see them. Nobody is buying a ticket to see Dominic Mysterio. First of all, there's no tickets available. But if they were, you could buy the WWE Network to buy SummerSlam. No one is buying the WWE Network to see Dominic Mysterio. He is not an attraction. He's not.
Well, I'll disagree with you on that one because, he's the son of Rey Mysterio. I think a lot of people want to see what the son of Rey Mysterio can do because Rey Mysterio, for a lot of people, consider him one of the best wrestlers of all time. So they definitely want to see what his son can do. If his son is making his WWE debut, that's an attraction event.
No. Just because your dad's good at something doesn't mean I give a fuck about you. It really, I don't. In fact, most people whose dads are good at something, they're shit at it. Does anybody give a fuck to see Michael Jordan's kids play basketball? No. You know why? Because they suck at it. They're no good. Their dad was good at it. His kids fucking suck. Nobody cares about Michael Jordan's kids. No disrespect. I'm sure they're fine people, whatever. But, I don't want to watch them on Raw. I don't want to watch them in the NBA. It's like, oh, why is this guy in the NBA? Oh, he's Michael Jordan's son. Well, can he play basketball? No. He sucks. He's 5'3" and he's terrible. Well, why is he on the court? Well, he's Jordan's son. It's an attraction. I don't know. I don't really understand that. I don't give a shit about people's kids. If you're good at something, it doesn't mean your kid's going to be good at it. I grew up watching pro wrestling, and I remember David Flair. Ric Flair, one of the greatest of all time. David Flair, shit. It's not something that carries on. Talent doesn't necessarily get passed down. Ric Flair, awesome. Charlotte Flair, awesome. David Flair, shit. Right? So, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But just because you're Rey Mysterio's son doesn't mean I care to see you wrestle. I mean, just because you're Kurt Angle's son doesn't mean you're going to win an Olympic gold medal. That's not how it works. That's just not how it works. So, okay, Rey has a son. Can he do a backflip? Can he even do a backflip? Like, I'm sorry, you're Rey Mysterio's son. I haven't seen you do one moonsault. Has he done one? Can he do one? If you're Rey Mysterio's son, and you're a professional wrestler, and you can't do a fucking picture-perfect moonsault, let alone like a triple Hurricane Rana, get the fuck out of the business, because you're going to be an embarrassment. Right? If you can't do half the shit that your dad can, and it doesn't look like he can, what's the point? Who wants to see this guy? I do not care to see Dominic Mysterio at all, ever, unless he's a great wrestler. If he's a great wrestler, then of course I want to watch him. But just based on the fact that he's Rey's son and is going to wrestle, did anybody really give a shit to watch David Sammartino? Everybody loved Bruno. Did anybody give a fuck about his son? Correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I don't think he had a big career. Everybody loved Hulk Hogan.
Not so much.
Everybody loved Hulk Hogan. Who gave a shit about Horace Boulder? Hulk Hogan's nephew. No one gave a shit about Hulk Hogan's nephew. Remember Shawn Michaels' nephew, Michael Shane? What happened to him? Nothing. Okay? Nothing. Because just because you're related to somebody doesn't mean you're going to be good at the thing that you're somebody you're related to is good at. Fuck out of here.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, look at Randy Orton.
Yeah, his dad was a great wrestler. He's shitty. I'm kidding. I'm kidding around. But, sure, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Look at the Hart family. Look at Stu Hart. There was only one Brett. And there was also an Owen. But the rest of them, like, yeah, some of them were all right. Some of them were, It doesn't work all the time. And also, just because you're the son of somebody doesn't mean you deserve a spot in your dad's business. Which, happens in media constantly. It's like nepotism in media is unbelievable. I have seen it like crazy. So many people with no fucking talent only getting things because their daddy is something or another, right? That shit happens all the time. And it's funny. But I don't respect it. I don't fucking respect it. Dominic Mysterio doesn't deserve a match at SummerSlam. Dominic Mysterio deserves a match at SummerSlam like Simone Johnson deserves a match at SummerSlam. Why isn't she on SummerSlam? She's The Rock's daughter. She signed to NXT. She's an attraction. Of course you want to see her wrestle. She's The Rock's daughter. Well, what if she sucks? Like, that's not how it works. Just because you're somebody's daughter or son doesn't mean you're going to be great at their business. Dominic Mysterio probably will beat Seth, but I wish him the best, man, but I don't have high hopes for his pro wrestling career. Look at him. Look at him. What kind of shape is he in? Is he in the gym at all? Does he lift weights? Did he look like a guy in shape to you? Did he have any kind of bicep muscle at all? He's got tattoos that his dad paid for. He's got nice shoes that his dad paid for. He's got a job that his dad got him. What the fuck has Dominic Mysterio done for himself?
He exists.
Hey. He exists because his dad fucked his mom. That's why he exists. Okay? That's why we all exist. Okay? Because your dad wanted to fuck. That's why we exist. Ray did a little 619 and out came Dominic. Or maybe Eddie Guerrero. Still not clear. And that's all Dominic has done. What has he done to him? I mean, he doesn't look like a wrestler at all. I'm not impressed. Anyways, he'll probably beat Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, which is fucking crazy. It's like, remember when Fandango beat Chris Jericho at WrestleMania? Crazy, right? WWE.
Not the same kind of upset win kind of thing, in my opinion.
Much worse. Dominic beating Seth is worse than Jericho losing to Fandango. At least Fandango was over at the time and is a pro wrestler. I mean, at least Fandango's in shape. The guy looks like a wrestler.
I feel at one point in time, Fandango could have been a huge thing in wrestling, actually.
Yeah.
But they never capitalized it.
Right. But Dominic Mysterio, I mean, I saw him with his shirt off. I mean, come on. You know? And I'm not all about the look. You don't have to look, but you have to have something. There's got to be something. If you don't look the part, and you're not a great wrestler, and you're not a great talker, well, there's nothing there. If you can talk, and you can wrestle, but you look terrible, I will give you a pass. But if you can't do anything, and you don't look good, again, like at least when Randy showed up, he couldn't talk, he couldn't wrestle, but he looked like $1 million. He's always had that. And the wrestling and the talking, well, you could learn that over time, and you can improve, and you can get better. Roman Reigns was not that good when he started. He improved, he got better, but he always looked like fucking Roman Reigns. Like, that look will get you in the door. Dominic, like, he's in the door because he was in a storyline when he was 6. Right? He's in the door because he was the subject of a ladder match, a very famous ladder match between Eddie and Ray for the custody of Dominic. And he was good when he was 6. That's why Dominic is here. Because wrestling fans, longtime wrestling fans, kind of know who he is. That's why Dominic is getting the shot that he's getting. Because he's been in the business before when he was 6 as a pawn in a storyline. And honestly, he was more believable back then. Right?
He's kind of a pawn again in a sense, because he was kind of the bargaining chip to make sure that Ray would re-sign with WWE. So you kind of got this. It's kind of like a package deal. You get Ray, you got Dominic as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why Dominic is getting the shot, because Ray has demanded that Dominic is allowed to wrestle if he is going to remain with the company, and he's probably taking less money so that they give a contract to Dominic. Like, the only reason Dominic's on TV is because his dad is forcing WWE to put him on TV, which is crazy. Crazy. I love Rey Mysterio, but shit, man. New Japan wouldn't give your son a contract, okay? They'd send him to the dojo and they'd say, learn, buddy. And then he would learn. He'd be better off at the New Japan dojo. Anyways. Sasha Banks versus Asuka. Bayley versus Asuka. So, fucking Smackdown, man. It was weird. So, Sasha and Bayley are being interviewed in the ring by Corey Graves. There's fake crowd noise going on. Corey's wondering why, what's going on with Bayley and Sasha. He's trying to create a rift, right? Corey's like, hey, Bayley, why did you want to face Asuka first? So Bayley said that she would face Asuka first on Raw. She's like, I'll take her first, and then Sasha, you can clean up the pieces and whatever. And Corey's like, why did you say that, Bayley? Asuka has beat you before. Why would you go first? Shouldn't you let Sasha go first? And Bayley's like, well, that was just a suggestion. I didn't really mean that I was going to go first. And Sasha's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean just a suggestion? You trying to volunteer me to go first here? And then Naomi shows up, and she's like, I want to wrestle both of you. And Naomi's like, well, who wants to go first? And then they're like, oh, I don't know. So Naomi's trying to mess with them, right? And then Corey goes, well, how about we do a beat the clock challenge? And Naomi's like, great idea. And I'm like, wait a second. Naomi, do you understand the rules to a beat the clock challenge? You're the jabroni in this situation. Naomi put herself in a situation where it is expected that she will be defeated, right? A beat the clock challenge is 2 people wrestle the same person. Whoever can beat them faster, or 2 people wrestle matches. Usually it's against different people, and whoever can beat them the fastest wins the beat the clock challenge for whatever is on the line at any given time. This time it was, who has to wrestle Asuka first at SummerSlam? Beat the clock challenge with Naomi. Naomi's like, yeah, great idea. And it's like, Naomi, you're the jobber here. You just enthusiastically agreed to be the jobber. Sasha Banks beats Naomi in 3 minutes, 39 seconds, which is like, ugh. Ouch. Naomi taps to the bank statement. But then Naomi manages to beat Bayley by pinfall after the rear view. So she wrestles Sasha first, loses to Sasha, then wrestles a fresh Bayley and manages to beat her in under 2 minutes. And then Asuka shows up and she cuts a little promo. Sasha goes after Asuka on the ramp, gets kicked in the head. Asuka jumps in the ring, attacks Bayley. Bayley runs away, and Bayley runs right past the beaten up Sasha on the ramp, not going to help her friend, just running away from Asuka. So I guess Bayley does have to face Asuka first now, and Sasha will face her second. Okay. I'm not sure. I feel like Bayley will lose? I felt like Bayley's going to lose. She's been champion forever. But does Asuka beat Sasha too? That's the only thing I'm kind of on the fence about. Like, I think Asuka probably takes it from Bayley. She's beat Bayley before. They got to take the title off Bayley at some point. Or do they? I don't know. I don't know if they do. Maybe they just take the tag titles off of them at Payback and they keep them with the singles titles. Because their tag titles are going to be on the line next week at Payback. And they're already showing that there's a little bit of, heat between Sasha and Bayley. Maybe they keep their singles titles, remain on their respective brands, lose the tag team titles because they can't get along. They stop showing up on each other's show. They're no longer tag team champions. They lose at Payback, but they don't lose at SummerSlam. I kind of feel like that's what's going to happen. Like, they'll retain their singles titles, lose the tag team titles. Those tag titles bounce around a lot. It's tough. It's a tough one. I think Bayley and Sasha both retain at SummerSlam. But I could see Asuka winning either match or both as well. I really don't know what they're going to do here. Maybe they don't know what they're going to do here. What do you think, Johnny?
Well, I just want to get your prediction correct here. So it's like, you don't think she's going to win any matches. Yeah, you just pretty much said everything possible outcome pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if you had to, feet to the fire, I really need to pick something. I would say Bayley drops the title to Asuka, but Sasha retains. That would be my guess if I had to make a prediction. But I really this is one where I don't know. A lot of these matches at SummerSlam, I'm not particularly excited for anything, but as far as the results, I'm not sure. Randy could win the title. Drew could retain. I don't know. Dominic Mysterio might beat Seth, but Seth might beat him. Sasha might beat Asuka. Asuka might beat Sasha. Bayley might beat Asuka. Asuka might beat Bayley. I don't know. I really don't know. But I would have to say, if I had to pick, Bayley loses to Asuka. Asuka's new SmackDown champion. She goes over to SmackDown. And then Sasha has to deal with Nia Jax and Shayna and whatever on Raw.
Well, I'm going to go the opposite of you because I feel like on SmackDown, they kind of gave it away in a sense where it's like Bayley lost, so she's going to win. And Sasha won, so she's going to lose. I think that's how it's going to go.
That's not always how it works, though, John. Sometimes they have them lose on TV to swerve you and make you think that they're going to lose on pay-per-view or win on pay-per-view, but then they still lose, Sometimes it's just double loss.
You're right, but Bayley's been eating a lot of losses lately.
Yeah.
And I feel like now she's finally going to get a win at the pay-per-view.
So you think she wins, but Sasha loses?
Yeah, I feel that way, yeah. It's too much if they both win, I feel.
But then they could both lose next week at Payback, for the tag belts.
I mean, is there really any tag team you'd be worried about them against? Unless it's going to be Nia and Tamina, I wouldn't think they'd lose the tag team titles.
No, Iconics, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, Natty and Lana.
No. No.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
Maybe Mandy and Sonya unite at SummerSlam. Mandy seemed to want to be friends. Yeah, well, that was weird, right? So Mandy cuts this promo, and she's like, Sonya, we've been through so much. Let's just forget about this match. Let's just be friends again. I was like, what? She attacked you? She cut your hair? You challenged her to the hair versus hair match. But, of course, Sonya, there was an incident, right, with Sonya this week. There was a guy who was a stalker who, like, got into her house and was ready to kidnap her. He had all this, like, rope and whatever. He was going to try and kidnap... Pepper spray. He's trying to kidnap Sonya Deville. Thankfully, he was caught and he was arrested. This crazy guy. But Sonya was at home when this guy showed up, and apparently Mandy was there too, which is not good for kayfabe, brother. You know, they're supposed to be feuding, and they're hanging out together a week before their big match. Kayfabe, well,
kayfabe, come on. You can sell it that she was trying to make up with her, like, at her house. You know?
Okay. Well, they didn't really address it, but they did in a way, because Dana Brooke goes up to Sonya backstage, and she's like, what did she say? Oh, I'm sorry for everything that you went through this week, right? And then Sonya's like, oh, it's nothing I can't handle, and then she slaps Dana Brooke. So it's like, okay, you might be feeling bad for Sonya because somebody tried to kidnap her, but she's still a heel. Do not forget, she's still mean. She slaps Dana Brooke when Dana Brooke was just showing concern, right? So then Sonya cuts a promo on the stage, and Sonya says Mandy is second-guessing her own challenge, which she is, which is weird. And Sonya's like, I want this match to be no disqualification, and your hair isn't good enough. I don't want to see your face anymore. So this is going to be now a loser leaves WWE match. They changed the hair versus hair. They changed hair versus hair, which I really like as a stipulation. And then they give you a loser leaves WWE match, which never really sticks, right? Like, unless one of them's contract is up and they're really leaving. Maybe somebody realized, oh, well, Mandy's contract is up and she's not re-signing. Let's just do a loser leaves town. That could be it. Because Mandy was weird this week. She's like, I just want to be friends again. Like, let's put this behind us. That was strange. She wasn't with Otis in any kind of way. She was like, a couple weeks ago, very fiery, very much like, I want to get revenge on you, Sonya. Hair versus hair. I'm not scared of you. And now she's like all scared and wants to be friends again. Which makes me think things aren't looking good for Mandy. I wonder if they like said, yeah, we're going to do hair versus hair. But then didn't really have an idea of who was going to lose their hair. And maybe asked both of them and they both said no. So now one of them is going to be fired. Or maybe they wanted Mandy to lose her hair. Mandy said no. And now she's going to lose a loser leaves WWE match and just be on the shelf, you know, in the background, on the bench for a while as punishment. Wouldn't put it past them to do that. I wonder why the hair versus hair match was changed to a loser leaves WWE. It's weird, right? 2 days before the pay-per-view?
I feel this has to do with the kidnapping attempt. I feel like maybe they feel it'd be safer for Sonya not to be on television, perhaps. And I'm thinking maybe that's why they went in this direction.
Why would it be safer for her not to be on TV?
Because maybe that way she won't get much backlash, perhaps. I'm not sure the whole thinking behind this.
That doesn't make sense, John. Your logic, again, flawed. This is why you can make sense from WWE's logic, John, because you have like WWE logic, I think, inherent within you. Like that's your fundamental base of logic. It's the same as Vince's, which, you know, helps you with wrestling. But that doesn't make sense, John. It doesn't make sense. Why would they take her off TV to avoid further whatever? The guy who tried to kidnap her is in jail. There's no other kidnappers, right, unless like everybody wants to kidnap Sonya, which would be weird. So I don't think that makes any kind of sense. And I think it would be horrible for the WWE to be like, oh, Sonya, you had this traumatic thing happen to you. We're going to take you off TV for a while. It's like, we're going to not only is this terrible thing going to happen to you, but we're also going to punish you and you're not going to be allowed at your job. Like, no, that's not what's happening here. I hope. I mean, you might be right, John, because WWE's crazy, but it doesn't even make sense.
I think there's more to this whole situation than what's been already said, so I wouldn't be surprised if, maybe she's asking for the time off, perhaps.
To, like, reevaluate whatever. Maybe she's freaked out.
I wouldn't be surprised if she is. Like, that's very understandable.
So you think Mandy wins?
Well, I thought Mandy was going to win from the start, so it didn't really matter. If it was
I thought Sonya was going to win.
Well, why change it?
Well, I thought Sonya was going to win. So maybe she still wins and then Mandy disappears, but I feel like Sonya's more likely to disappear now. Mandy's got the thing with Otis, but it was a weird promo from Mandy. I'm going to go with Sonya. I think Sonya wins. See, again, another match where I'm like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. It could go either way. Which is good, man. That's what you want at a big event like SummerSlam. You know, you want a bunch of matches where you're not really sure how they're going to turn out. But the fact that they changed it from hair versus hair to loser leaves town is pretty disappointing because they don't usually stick to the loser leaves town. You know, the loser leaves town for like a month and then they're back, and it's like, why are they back? Remember when Kevin Owens beat Shane McMahon in a match where Shane McMahon was fired from WWE and was never to be seen again? Then he reemerged like 6 months later on Raw Underground. Doesn't stick. So at least with hair, you know, she would be bald for a while until her hair grew back. That would actually be a real repercussion. This is just like whatever, a mini vacation, or just relegated to catering until we find a new story for you, right?
Well, you just put them in Retribution if you really need to use them.
That's it. Put them in Retribution. You're the new leader of Retribution, pal. Raw Underground happened again this week. That's it. Marina Shafir got involved, which I thought was cool. Marina, a former MMA fighter. Jessamine Duke fought in the UFC. And they're reunited with Shayna, which is good. Nia Jax attacked Marina. And then Shayna wanted to fight Nia on Raw Underground, but Nia bailed and walked away. So the Nia versus Shayna thing is still going on. And I like to see Shayna reunited with her crew there, Marina and Jessamine. They've been in the crowd, but now there's no crowd. It's just the Thunderdome, so it makes sense. They're tailor-made for Raw Underground. They got legit backgrounds. I don't hate that. I didn't hate that bit. The Arturo Huas Riddick Moss thing was like not great. And you're like, who? Don't worry. Dolph Ziggler beat Eric of the Viking Raiders with a rear naked choke submission after a thumb to the eye. So even in Raw Underground, you know, the Ziggler can't win clean, you know. He gets a choke, but he's got to do the thumb to the eye before he does the choke. Even though there are no rules in Raw Underground. That's a legal move, but like, it's a dirty tactic nonetheless. A dirty tactic from Dolph Ziggler to get a match win on Raw Underground. But that was the first time we've actually seen two real wrestlers, not like wrestler versus jabroni, wrestler versus unknown person. This was like two actual wrestlers having a match of sorts on Raw Underground, with Ziggler beating Eric of the Viking Raiders.
I found it enjoyable. I liked Ziggler trying to go for the takedowns. He couldn't get them. I really like the whole back and forth because, like you said, like it's finally someone where it's like, I wonder who's going to win in this one. It's not just, you know, star versus like enhancement talent. It's actually like two guys that are well known. It really could go either way. Yeah.
It wasn't terrible. It was probably the best Raw Underground segment so far, which is not saying much. Dabba Kato was not on the Raw Underground this week. I wonder what happened to him. Maybe they've given up on Dabba. Yabba dabba. Shayna and Asuka beat Sasha and Bayley in a tag team match on Raw this week. Nia Jax came through the crowd, attacked Shayna, and brawled with her for a good chunk of the match, leaving Asuka alone. How was that not a disqualification? Like, didn't we see a match end a couple weeks ago where, like, two people were in the ring, and then I think it was, like, Bayley and somebody else outside the ring, and then they started brawling outside the ring, and the match ended by whatever, even though the two people that were actually in the match didn't get involved in the antics outside the ring? This time, Nia Jax attacks Asuka's tag team partner, and the match continues as if it's fine. Come on.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense whatsoever, but I don't think they had a way out of that, and they just decided, well, one of those times where we just forget about the rules, and it's just whatever happens, happens kind of thing. So yeah, there wasn't much explained for that one. You can't really explain that one, unfortunately.
Wow. I've stumped you, John. You couldn't explain that. You couldn't explain it. I mean, how do you explain it? Shayna's in the match. She's getting attacked. She's gone. She disappeared. And the referee doesn't call for the bell. It's crazy. Crazy. It was like AEW levels of no disqualification calling, you know? Crazy levels.
The only way I could possibly explain it, but I feel like the ref saw it.
Yeah.
That's the only way I could explain it. Is the ref didn't see it, but there's no way the ref was that blind.
No. It was like a lot of fighting going on at ringside. Dolph Ziggler is going to wrestle Ivar on Raw Underground next week. So he wrestled Eric, and now he's going to wrestle the other Viking Raider coming up Monday night. Elsewhere that happened on Raw, Shelton Benjamin took the 24/7 title from R-Truth, then lost it to Cedric Alexander, but then took it back from Cedric Alexander. So Shelton is the 24/7 champion, just in case you gave a shit about the 24/7 championship. Okay, Braun Strowman versus The Fiend, Bray Wyatt for the Universal Championship, brother. So, they did some things on SmackDown this week. Nikki Cross was interviewed about Alexa Bliss, and Nikki's like, I don't know, Alexa's been acting really strange. I can't put my finger on it, but something weird, and I feel like something bad is going to happen. Gee, I wonder what it's going to be. Gee, I wonder what Alexa might do at SummerSlam. You think she'll get involved in the Fiend's match? I wonder. It is a singles match for the Universal Championship. Braun Strowman. So Bray Wyatt does a Firefly Funhouse. This is the end of SmackDown, by the way. Not a great finish to SmackDown this week. Wyatt does a Firefly Funhouse. Bray says he loves you, but he says, be careful, love can be bad and trick you into emotional, physical, and financial burden. Is he talking about his divorce? The puppets then do a reenactment of the Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss promo from last week, which was weird. Bray didn't like the puppets reenactment. Bray says that we all need to be more like the Fiend. And then Braun Strowman shows up in the Firefly Funhouse, attacking Bray Wyatt, dragged him away, and delivered a catchphrase I haven't heard Braun Strowman deliver in a while. I'm not finished with you. That was like an old Braun Strowman catchphrase when he was feuding with Roman Reigns. Remember that? The ambulance match? Remember that? Old school. So that was good. And Braun chokeslams Bray Wyatt off a loading dock onto concrete, where they act like he has killed Bray Wyatt. Referees and agents are all there, you know, trying to load Bray into an ambulance, and they stretcher him into the ambulance, and everybody's very upset, demanding that the ambulance go faster. Come on, get out of here. What are you doing? He's really hurt. Get out of here. What are you doing? Really upset. Adam Pearce was like losing his mind. And then the ambulance starts driving away, and then it stops and comes back, and the agents like go bananas. Get out of here. He's super hurt. We care about him so much. Even though he tried to possibly kill Vince McMahon at the top of the show, everybody backstage at WWE, all the officials, are very concerned about Bray Wyatt's health, even though he confronted the chairman at the beginning of the show. Like, you would think the WWE officials would be like, yeah, fuck that guy. He tried to kill Vince. But no. No allegiance to the chairman. Explain that, John.
Main event of SummerSlam.
Oh, right. Because he main event SummerSlam. But, you see, you were supposed to say, no. That was the Fiend that confronted Vince, not Bray Wyatt. Right? Different guys, different gimmick. Right?
You could say that, but he's also the meal ticket, too. Like, you got to protect your meal ticket.
Even if he tries to kill Vince? Even if he attacks
Vince
Alexa Bliss?
It's good for business.
Best for business, pal. Okay. So, of course, the ambulance comes back. And, the Fiend was definitely going to pop out of the ambulance. And, red lights appear from the ambulance. And the Fiend comes out and he starts laughing. And that's the end of SmackDown. So Bray Wyatt got beat up, but the Fiend no sells because he's the Fiend. And now we have the Fiend versus Braun Strowman. And I think the Fiend will get help from Alexa Bliss to become the new Universal Champion. I think the Fiend gets Alexa on his side. Evil Alexa. She's been changed.
I said that last week, so yeah. You finally saw the way I've been seeing it now, so I'm glad you've come around.
Well, Nikki Cross kind of gave it away on SmackDown, right? Something bad's going to happen. Oh, I wonder what. I wonder.
I don't know about you, but I think because they put the Fiend with Vince, they're really trying to push the Fiend as the next big star on SmackDown right now. And I also feel like they're trying to make him almost like the face now for whatever reason. I don't know if they're going to completely be able to pull it off, but it feels like everyone he wrestles now becomes heels.
I don't know about that. I don't know about him being the babyface champion as the Fiend. That's a little weird. I feel like maybe, just maybe, they are putting the title back on the Fiend to reset the ship so that the man can come back and take the title from him. And I'm not talking about Becky Lynch. I'm talking about...
That'd be weird.
I'm talking about the guy that's been missing for a long time, who's the top guy in the WWE. You know him. You love him. The big dog. Roman Reigns. It's Joe Anoa'i time. I mean, it's still his show. His yard. It's his yard. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're just putting the title back on the Fiend to eventually build up for the Roman Reigns comeback and victory and championship reign. When is Roman coming back? If he's not back by the Rumble, does he ever come back? At this point, we're getting there, right? Survivor Series is the next big one in November. I don't know if he'll be back by Survivor Series. I don't know. But if he's not back by the Rumble, shit. What's he going to do? Miss 2 Manias in a row? Come on. That's a career. That's done. You call it it's a wrap. It's over. You miss 2 WrestleManias in a row voluntarily, your fucking career is done in the WWE. Done. Go to AEW. Go to Ring of Honor. Get the fuck out. It's over. He's got to come back at some point in the next 6 months. It's been a long time now. It's been 6 months, right? How long has he been gone? March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months. 6 months of this without the big dog. Top star in the company, been gone for 6 months. At some point, you got to come back. Sami Zayn is not on TV. I love Sami Zayn. You love Sami Zayn, but nobody really gives a shit, right? Sami Zayn is not integral to the business of the WWE. He's not that important. Roman Reigns is pretty fucking important. He's not just a cog in the wheel. He's the big dog. He's the top star. He's main evented. At some point, he's got to come back. And I feel put the title back on the Fiend so that Roman could take it off of him. Just like he should have in the first place. They should have never let Goldberg do it. It should have been the Fiend and Roman at WrestleMania last year. Or this year, earlier this year, whenever it was, whatever. But whatever, they fucked that up. He gave us Braun Strowman versus Goldberg, which nobody wanted to see, but hey. I say put the title back on the Fiend so you could set it up for Roman. Big dog. His yard. His goddamn yard, John.
Well, first off, what they should have done, it's fine with Goldberg winning, it's just Goldberg should have beaten Bray Wyatt, the puppet master. They should have had him beat that character, because that would have made more sense, where it's you beat the weaker version,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why Goldberg won the title. And that way you keep the Fiend strong. But they didn't do that because they don't think. But whatever with the whole Braun Strowman Goldberg, they got caught in a situation. They were stuck. They just did something with this. In the end, I mean, if the Fiend becomes champion, that's fine. Hopefully that's what happens at SummerSlam. It'd be nice to have Roman Reigns come out at the end of SummerSlam, confront the Fiend. That'd be a great way to end the show. But
Yes.
again, if Roman's comfortable coming back, who knows? I mean, we might get a Money in the Bank cash in from Otis, possibly. Maybe that's going to be the big shocker for the show.
That'd be good. I'd like to see that. Give me that.
I don't know if it's a great way to end the show. I think Roman's probably the best end to the show, but we'll wait and see. I mean, and we're talking about this is going to end the show.
Yeah, Roman at the end of the show would be pretty damn cool, though. Roman showing up and facing off with the Fiend, like, that would be cool. I would like that. But imagine how big of a night it could be for Otis. He could lose his peach forever. Mandy could be banished from the WWE. Hey, my peach. She could be gone. And then he could walk away a Universal Champion at the end of the night. Lose Mandy, gain the Universal title. I mean, that could be a big night for Otis. Yeah, let's see that. I'm kind of excited for SummerSlam. I think that there's going to be some fun matches, some interesting stuff. It'll be good.
Well, that's good that you're hoping for that. I'm not as positive, but hopefully I'm wrong. I just feel though we're not certain here, right? Like we're saying that's going to end the show, the Universal title match. Yeah, if Roman's there, but if he's not there, I think the WWE title match should end the show.
Yeah, Randy and Drew. That makes sense. I don't know who's going to end the show. SummerSlam. We will be live watching SummerSlam here with you, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Right when SummerSlam begins, I'll be here. Johnny will be here. My brother will be here. In full effect, the SummerSlam watch-along coming up Sunday night during SummerSlam. It'll be fun. We're going to make SummerSlam fun. Even if SummerSlam isn't good, it's going to be fun because we're going to be cracking jokes. We're going to be having a good time. Watch it with us. It'll be more fun, I promise you. I promise you we enhance the experience, right, John? Like, we make it more fun. A lot of these pay-per-views from WWE have turned out pretty shitty, but the people that watch the watch-alongs, they wind up having a good night and they have a good time because, if something's bad and you've got some people cracking some jokes and making fun of it and having a good time and you guys chat along and super chat and all that good stuff, it's more fun. It's more fun when we're all together, the Wrestling Uncensored universe, right?
Well, I think what's fun is like the live reactions because like this is unlike what they're doing so far with the virtual fans. Is you're not getting those live reactions, or if you are getting them, it feels like they're kind of late. So like we're actually like reacting to like what's happening. So that's kind of really neat. And plus you're getting like banter like in between the matches as well. So it's like there's always something constantly going on. It's just like an extra soundtrack for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, we're better than Michael Cole and Corey Graves, I'll tell you that much. A lot more entertaining than those guys. Okay, we have previewed SummerSlam. I think we've gone through all the matches. There's just a couple notes that I wanted to get to before we wrap up. Did you see what happened to Gran Metalik on SmackDown? Holy shit, is he okay?
Well, it seemed like he just took a back bump. Like, it could have been much worse because I think he wanted to do a Hurricane Rana, right?
Yeah, but like, come on.
Not happening.
He went from inside the ring. He didn't even jump on a rope. He just jumped over the top rope somehow and then tried to get a Hurricane Rana on Cesaro, but he just slightly undershot it and just went boom. Like, it wasn't just a back bump, man. It looked like the back of his head hit the ground. That was rough, and he was clutching the back of his head. I would not be surprised if he got a concussion there, right? Like, that could have been a concussion. That was a hard fall, big fall, that he wasn't expecting to take. He tried to do the Hurricane Rana, he messed it up, and he took a horrible spill and didn't do anything for the rest of the match.
Well, it seemed like a kind of spot where it's like if it pulls it off, it's going to be fantastic. But again, big, temp like that, sometimes doesn't work out. And that's probably their idea going into that, where it's like this might not work out too well, but we'll save it near the end. So if it doesn't, like, well, at least there's nothing left to do.
You got to admire the balls on Grand Metalik, though, for going for that move, right? Like, that was incredible. Jumping over the top rope to try to land a Hurricane Rana on Cesaro, who's standing on the floor. Like, that was nuts. And he could probably pull it off if he would. Like, I think most times he pulls that off. It's just, this time it didn't work out. Grand Metalik, though, man, fucking good. And the finish of that match was nice, too. Cesaro with that nice reversal thing on Dorado for the pinfall. Good match. Cesaro and Shinsuke retain the tag team titles. I don't know why Kalisto's so mad. Kalisto comes back, helps out his team last week, looking jacked as hell. Crazy abs on Kalisto. And he's like mad at Dorado after the match for losing. It was weird.
Well, the thing about this team, it's been around for, a couple of years now, actually. So what else are they going to do now? They went for the tag team titles. They didn't win. So you got to spice it up a bit. I mean, at least put something in there that there's problems at least.
I would have given them the belts finally. They
too soon.
Why not? I mean, I don't think it's too soon. They've been a tag team for a while. They're starting to gain some legitimacy. And it's only been Metalik and Dorado for the longest time. Kalisto comes back, looks like $1 million. I thought that was going to be the shot in the arm that they needed to get those belts. It's like, okay, now they have their leader. They have Kalisto. He looks great. Give him the belts. It's Lucha House Party time, but I don't think they're going there. They're going with Kalisto mad at Dorado. That'll set up a match that no one really needs to see. It's just, you could have done something with the Lucha House Party. Instead, you're going to break them up, and then you'll never see any of them again, because that's how WWE works. AJ Styles, okay, you got to love him. While Retribution was attacking everybody, and all the Smackdown guys came out, they had like a different camera angle that shows AJ Styles kicking Jeff Hardy in the leg. So Jeff Hardy is like injured. He hurt his leg because AJ Styles, instead of attacking the Retribution guys, he just like kicked Jeff Hardy and tried to injure him and take him out of their Intercontinental title match later that night. He kicked Jeff Hardy's leg out of his leg, to quote the great Owen Hart. Hey, Brett, that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg. Classic.
Well, I thought it was a good angle to set it up, and I thought this was a great out for Jeff, that he wasn't going to win the match, but he still won the match, which was a nice surprise for the show, and it kind of shows that they try to make the show a big deal, the first Thunderdome show, so that's kind of nice. It's just, again, too bad that something like this probably should have been on the pay-per-view, but pay-per-views unfortunately aren't a big deal anymore.
It could still be on the pay-per-view. I wouldn't be surprised if they added this. Maybe not SummerSlam, but probably Payback, right? Rematch at Payback. They got to do something for Payback. This seems like a good way to do it because it wasn't a clean finish. Jeff Hardy did beat AJ Styles. AJ had him in the Styles Clash. Jeff Hardy, because of the attack earlier on, was wearing a knee brace, and that big heavy knee brace was on his leg when he kicked AJ Styles in the head, and they're saying that the knee brace hurt AJ, and then that led to Jeff taking control, hitting the Swanton, getting the 1-2-3 to become the new Intercontinental Champion. So, unfinished business. AJ was complaining about it afterwards, yelling at Joseph Parks, who I guess is AJ's new manager, which I like a lot. But there's definitely going to be a rematch between Jeff and AJ, which is great. Their match was good on SmackDown. I think they could do better in a rematch. Jeff was interviewed after the match. This was weird. He talks about doing this for people who struggled, like he struggled, and everything he's been through. And then his own music interrupted him, and he was like played off like an award show. Like Jeff was like thanking people, and then his own music cut him off. And then we go backstage so we can look at a shot of puppets. They had a shot of two Bray Wyatt Firefly Funhouse puppets kind of like puppeting together, moving around. And this was to promo the Firefly Funhouse segment coming up. But it was a good, 15, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds of puppets before we went to commercial. I think you could have avoided the puppets and just let Jeff Hardy finish his little speech there. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time, a future Hall of Famer, winning an Intercontinental Championship on TV against AJ Styles, another future Hall of Famer, kind of a big deal. Maybe want to give the man his respect and let him finish his speech instead of cutting to puppets. But hey, it's the WWE, right? Puppets are more important than actual wrestling. Like when Cesaro and Shinsuke were wrestling the Lucha House Party, 4 of the best in-ring workers that the WWE has, we cut from the match to a promo of John Morrison and The Miz running down both tag teams for no reason in particular, other than to distract you from the great wrestling. Because that's what they do. They disrespect their actual wrestlers to give you promos from The Miz and John Morrison that are just awful, or shots of puppets to promote Bray Wyatt. Like, it's professional wrestling, but they really don't want you to think it's pro wrestling, right? They're trying to pretend like it's not.
Well, I find with the Jeff Hardy thing, it's just there's time limits. It's TV, so you have a certain amount of time for your promos, and if you go over, well, music, air you out. That's it. It's too bad. That's the way it's going to go down.
But couldn't they have given him more time instead of giving time to the puppets?
Puppets are a very important thing. It led into the next segment, so they needed that, actually. So, Jeff, you get this amount of time. That's it. You got your moment. Get in, get out. That's how that works. Jeff isn't exactly Mr. Microphone wizard here, so he doesn't need to have a long promo.
He's a charismatic enigma, John. You take that back. And he was given like 5 seconds for a promo. Like, why even give him the mic if you're going to cut him off after 5 seconds? It didn't make any sense. It was just mismanagement of time. That's the WWE's fault. It's not Jeff Hardy's fault. Johnny North, don't forget to check out our sponsors, okay? You know about IPVanish. You know about securing yourself on the internet. Go to vpn.ringsidereport.net. Support yourself and support the Ringside Report Network. Go to Stitcher. Stitcher.com/premium, promo code ringside for a free month of Stitcher Premium. Stitcher.com/premium, promo code ringside. They have great audio, podcasts, bonus episodes, comedy albums. So much great stuff on Stitcher. Try it out right now. $34.99 a year, $4.99 a month. But if you sign up today, Stitcher.com/premium, use that promo code ringside, you get a free month. And our friends over at Manscaped, manscaped.com, promo code ringside20 for 20% off your order plus free shipping. Support our sponsors. Super chat us to get your questions and comments in on Sunday night when we do the SummerSlam watch along. The video link is up on our YouTube channel right now. Go to ringsidereport.net for more information on everything that we do. Ringside Report MMA, UFC watch-alongs, Wrestling Uncensored every single week, dropping on the YouTube channel Saturday mornings at 11 a.m. Ringside Report MMA every Thursday night at 8 p.m. live on the channel. And then, of course, the watch-alongs for every big WWE pay-per-view, every big UFC pay-per-view. We are on, giving it to you, MMA, and professional wrestling. Follow Johnny North at North Genesis on Twitter, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram. Follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA. See all the cool snacks that I've been buying on my Instagram at Dave Simon MMA. Okay? Okay. Johnny North, this has been Wrestling Uncensored. Final words for everybody before the slam?
Well, try to find something to enjoy and hold on to that because this might be a very difficult show to watch.
Dark. What happened, John?
Not
Go
dark
Habs?
at all.
Go Habs? Are the Habs out? Are you sad because the Habs are out? Did they lose? What happened? I don't watch hockey. I don't know.
Well, the refs suck, but that's life.
So they're eliminated or they're still in it?
They're eliminated, but that's better in a sense because I don't have to worry about watching SummerSlam and the hockey game at the same time now.
Right. There you go. They're making it easy for you. They're always thinking about you. Well, that's too bad. Too bad. I know a lot of our friends here in Montreal are very excited about the Canadians in the playoffs, but I guess they lost. And they're not in the playoffs anymore.
Refs suck, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that the referees were calling it against Montreal, which, I don't really understand why they would do that. You would think that we're a bigger hockey market than Philadelphia, but maybe not. I don't know. Why would they call it against Montreal? What would the conspiracy be? Why do they want Philadelphia to win?
It's not really that they just call it against Montreal. It's just their bad officiating. That's period. Montreal just got the bad end of the stick pretty much.
I see. All right. From me, from Lego Mario. This has been...
That's nice.
Yeah, I got Lego Mario. Have you seen this, John? It's awesome. Look at that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a cool set. It's like I got all sorts of stuff here, John. I don't know if you noticed, but it's like all sorts of little Lego Mario stuff. He can interact. Look at this. Look at this. Baby Bowser. Oh!
Cool.
Okay. It's time to wrap up.
Wow.